Today we're going to cover why the evergreen skill of writing is essential to anything you can do, from content creation all the way to sales, all the way to marketing. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Nate, and I run this YouTube channel which focuses on answering existential questions in the form of a video journal to provide value to others, as well as educationally teaching you how to turn your hobbies and interests into a community that you can potentially monetize down the road. Let's get started. So this framework is a high-level overview of why writing is such an important evergreen skill to develop and practice over time. I have yet to learn all the intricacies of writing, just being honest. I still learn every day, like when I write my own newsletter and social media posts, but the point of this YouTube video is to provide value and teach you why writing is super important. So we'll start off with your brand, which is your very identity that you're building with the community. So you capture the attention of people through short form and medium form content that we'll also go into. And so by capturing attention, you can do this through a variety of different ways through writing, such as, for example, your Instagram posts that you write with the captions, carousel posts, reels where you write different 1-minute scripts, etc. And so after you capture the attention with the brand or identity of the community that you're building, you have content. And so the entire point of content is to nurture their attention. And so you do that through a lot of long form content. And so what I mean by that is through newsletters, which can communicate more complicated messages than what people's short attention spans nowadays can honestly are capable of handling. So people have short attention spans for a couple of seconds on social media. That's why when you produce content, you nurture their attention through newsletters, podcasts, YouTube channels like this, for example. And then ultimately that would lead you to selling a product or a service, which is a solution to a problem that you've noticed in your community, which is what you build your community around. So you start off with your brand, you have content that you produce, and then you ultimately have a product or a service. And through these three stages, writing is at every single stage an important factor with how you capture someone's attention, nurture their attention, and then sell them a product or service, or don't. You just capture or nurture their attention. Either way, writing is super important. So I hinted at this previously, where there are short, medium, and long form types of content. So short and medium forms of content attract the attention of anyone that scrolls on social media, for example, with an Instagram carousel post that wants to talk about a certain problem. Like a great example of this would be the Washingtonian Post, if you follow them on Instagram. They have these 10-page carousels where they talk about events in the world, but they start off with a problem to get your attention, or let's say an attention-grabbing hook. Like, for example, 75% of people will die if they drink lead water, and here's why. That is an example of a hook that you can use in short form and medium form content to attract someone's attention to read the entire post, which is pretty interesting because it's also psychological warfare at the same time. Attention is the new economy, as they say nowadays. And so you are trying to get the attention of the community/audience that you are trying to build. So after you attract their attention, it's possible to distribute even more value with the message that you create through long form content. So for example, newsletters and podcasts. So a lot of what I do, for example, I will post about certain international embassy events on my Embassy Life in DC Instagram. And the way that I attract people's attention is through long form content, such as my newsletter. What I used to do is I wrote about an event of the week, and that would provide value, but in a very longer format, which is literally pages and pages of writing in this case. So a newsletter is a great way of communicating a very long and complicated concept, but in value doing so with a short language attention-grabbing hook, for example. So newsletters and podcasts are a great way of distilling value through long-form content, which will ultimately lead you to a promotion through a sales page. You don't need to necessarily end on a promotion or a sale page if you don't want to. The point of this video is not to kind of teach you to be an entrepreneur necessarily. Like the whole monetization aspect, I'm still working on myself, but I'm just sharing why I think writing is a very important skill to have through short and medium form content to attract your attention, and then also long form content such as a newsletter, podcast, YouTube channel, video, which would ultimately lead you to sell something if you are trying to go in that direction. It is perfectly okay to simply attract someone's attention and then provide a longer form of style of content to get some value across. But if you are trying to, build a side hustle, start an online business, this would be the way that you would do so through the power of writing used in tandem with other evergreen skills. So, if you've ever taken a writing class in college or in high school, there are a lot of different ways that you can use writing tactics in order to grab someone's attention through short, medium, and long form styles of content. So, these are some of my favorite writing tactics that I use sometimes to get someone's attention and to also nurture their attention as well. So, we'll cover each of these four tactics on the left with examples because this is pretty fun. So for social proof, this takes the form of testimonials. So let's take a plumber business that is literally starting out and they want to get the attention of potential clients on Instagram, as an example. They will post testimonials that they'll get from clients that love their work, be like, oh my God, John was such a great plumber. He came over to my house and he did this in an hour and it cost me well below what I thought, et cetera, et cetera. That's an example of social proof that is a writing tactic that a lot of people use to attract someone's attention. Wow, someone left a testimonial. This business must be good. That's an example of grabbing someone's attention and then nurturing it through social proof. Negativity bias. So this one directly strikes at the core of someone's being. And you can, they say the pen is mightier than the sword. In this case, it can be. So with negativity bias, you are directly calling out a problem that these people have, with whoever your ideal audience or community is. So for example, if someone is trying to lose weight, you can be like, you'll never lose weight and you will always be fat, no matter what you do. That's a little bit long. So maybe it's like, you will always be fat. You will never lose weight. Work out as much as you want. I don't see any progress. That's an example of negativity bias where you are directly calling out someone's problem, but in a very negative way, which will honestly elicit a negative reaction from that person. For example, if you're a fitness influencer and you're trying to sell a package or someone of workout routines and calorie stuff to your clients, you can be like, you will never lose weight and you will always look fat. That's going to anger your audience base, and they're going to be like, what? Why is that so? And then they'll go through like your product, and then that's a way, sales and marketing also comes into play. Specific numbers. So on my other YouTube videos, I've been experimenting with this on the titles. And so for example, if you mention, let's say, a specific statistic, that was a tongue twister, 73% of Gen Z will feel lonely, or something like that. That's what I used in one of my YouTube video titles, and that's one of the more popular ones, funny enough. That, or it just could be a common trend that everyone's talking about nowadays. But the point is that if you use a specific number or a statistic in your title or in your, let's say, Instagram carousels, like 50% of my clients experienced X after I told them to implement strategy Y, that is a specific number that you can implement in your writing to attract people's attention. People love numbers, especially when it comes to, if you ever read like a psychology book for sales and marketing, when you implement numbers, their attention goes straight towards that. It's honestly very incredible the way that works. And then, for example, the final one is your target call out. So this one requires you to think about your ideal audience. So let me give you an example. My ideal audience for my Embassy Life in DC project is someone that is aged 18 to 35 and they're coming out of college or they're in college. They don't know what to do in DC because they just moved to the area and they want to meet new people but experience different cultures. That is a very specific target call out. So for example, calling all 18-year-old college students who have nothing to do and you want to explore international embassy events. That's a target call out, which is an example of a writing tactic. Of course, there are many more, but for the sake of a short and snappy YouTube video, I'm only going to give you 4. But if you want more, definitely leave a comment down below and I can comment like what other writing tactics I use in my short, medium, and long form content. There are many different frameworks that you can use when it comes to writing. So for example, the pastor method is one that I've used in the past. And also from what I've seen in my general research for these videos, where you start off with a problem and then you work your way down to a response. So we can walk through this together while providing an example because examples are practical. So we'll use a fitness example because fitness is a common trend nowadays. So we'll start off with a problem. I can't lose weight because I eat too much. A, amplify that. So, for example, I notice people that are aged 18 years old and they are way fitter than I am. They're like 100 pounds less than I am, and I'm barely 25 or something like that. Solution. So, that's when you come in with your product or service that you're trying to sell. I can help said ideal demographic lose the weight with my workout plan and my custom meal plan. T, transformation. So that can be an example of a pre and post client. So, for example, let's say you had a client named John. He's 25 years old, he's a senior in college, and yet he weighs 250, but he's only 5'8. So, pre John, before your fitness transformation, was literally overweight and depressed because he saw everyone around him who was a similar age and he just couldn't lose any weight. Then he found you with your custom meal plan and also your workout plan. And then a complete transformation occurred where he lost 200 pounds. That makes him 50 pounds, but he's a lighter weight and he's now in shape. That's an example of a transformation. The idea here is the pre and the post, and then focusing on the change that you can help others build. And so O is your offer. So, for example, you have a service or a coaching service consulting thing that you want to like give to your clients for $250 a month. For $250 a month, we can have 3 one-on-one calls where I will teach you how to lose weight through these exercises and we'll monitor your calorie deficits together. And then R is the response, where you put a testimonial or a response from one of your clients being like, hey, I lost like 50 pounds in 3 months because of the fact that I literally like took up my offer, my being like the person that's providing the service. So that's an example of the pastor method where you start from a problem that your ideal demographic has, can't lose weight because of X and Y. You work all the way down to a solution that you provide, a transformation from one of your clients. If you don't have any clients, then offer to work with a couple of people for free and then walk them through a service or product if you really believe in what you're doing. That's your offer. And then your response is when they actually come back and they'd be like, for example, I lost 50 pounds because I took up John's offer on losing weight and stuff like that through a coaching service, and this is what worked for me. So that's an example of the pastor method. And it's really effective because it shows you what a problem is, what a solution is, what a transformation is for people, because that's how you connect with actual audience members, and then the response to a testimonial. Like I mentioned before, there are a bunch of different writing frameworks that you can use. Another good example is the APAG, which is one that the writer Dan Coe has been using for a while now in his letters, which is pretty interesting. So it operates on the same type of framework where you attract the attention of someone and then you work your way to issuing a challenge which can elicit a transformation in your ideal client. And yes, I realize I'm covering the G with the circle that I'm currently inhabiting in this YouTube video, but there's a reason for that. So we'll start off with A, which is the attention, which is the art of hooks and headlines. So for example, we talked about a negativity bias in one of the writing tactics that you can use. So for example, you will never lose weight because you are lazy. That is a hook that you can use to attract an audience member to your landing page, as an example. Perspective. You paint a picture of why a perspective is wrong, and then you paint a picture of the actual enemy. So for example, using the P with fitness as an example, you can paint a picture of why 65% of Americans are overweight, and they will all likely pass by the age of 40 unless they actually do something to get in shape. That is painting a picture of the enemy, and also why that shouldn't be you, because everyone wants to be healthy and no one actually wants to, pass early because of the fact that they could have prevented that through hard work. So that's a perspective right there. An advantage is painting a picture of the hero vision or why your perspective is right. So for example, if you are a fitness consultant that you're trying to find clients for your service, And you went through the attention where you said, your ideal audience cannot lose weight. The perspective is 65% of Americans are overweight. And you use the numbers tactic that we talked about earlier. The advantage is, for example, saying why working with you is the solution to losing weight and not being a statistic in that 65%. So when you work with, for example, I don't know, Green, who's like a, fitness consultant, and working with Green is advantageous because he has helped clients X, Y, and Z lose 100 pounds in 3 months. That is a painting of the picture of why Green is the hero and why his perspective is the right one, because obviously he must be doing something right if his clients are losing weight. And then finally, the G part. So gamify, create a hierarchy of challenging goals. So that's why I am covering the G part in this YouTube video, because I am challenging you to use what we have learned using why we write in the first place, from a brand to content to selling a potential product and service, to creating short form, medium form, and long form content through social media posts and a newsletter that you might be writing, to using the 4 tactics that we literally just covered with statistics, negativity bias, calling out your ideal target audience, and then using a potential framework, APAG, or the pastor method, where you create a challenge directly to your audience, where you say, hey, use all this knowledge to become a better writer. Practice makes perfect, and daily iterations are how you make progress. So that's what I'm challenging you to do, using all the knowledge that I've just given you in this very elementary YouTube video. And here's a quick disclaimer. So I am a beginner writer. I won't deny that. Like, my writing, frankly, is not atrocious, but it can definitely be improved upon. And I'm learning that the more that I write with my newsletter and for my other alternate project, and then also creating these videos for y'all, covering why these evergreen skills are important and how to produce value for your audience, is how you improve your writing. And it's fun because if I can spread knowledge to everybody on YouTube through these, brief miniature videos, then it definitely provides some value to someone that wants to improve their writing. So this is a very, again, brief but high level overview on writing tactics, writing frameworks, and why we write in the first place. Like and subscribe for more as we cover more of the evergreen skills in future videos. Hope you have a great day.